Oh, when I was 14 years old, I fell in love with a staff member at my school who was 24, yes, 10 years older than me. We used to talk a lot. We had a very friendly relationship, but obviously everything was kept secret. And believe it or not, during that year of our secret relationship, we managed to see each other a few times, be together, and we had a lot of plans. But I was very young. When my mom found out that I was in a relationship, she was very upset with me, but really upset. Why? Because my mom and we were very close friends. I literally told my mom everything. So she was upset, not because I was dating, but because I hid it from her. It was because I didn't let her be a part of such an important stage of my life. Actually, it was my first relationship, and she wanted to talk to me about some things regarding that, and to know that I have her support, that if anything happens, she's there, she can help me. After we talked a lot, and I regretted hiding this relationship from her, she said she would like to meet the guy. Obviously, she was pretty scared because he was older. But anyway, he came to my house, and my mom thought he was nice. He asked her for my hand. She said it was okay, that she would accept it as long as we had some boundaries. And so our relationship went on. During that time, he was someone who was very present. He was with me. We did things together. My mom started to look a little more into his family. She wanted to know if his family was a good family, if he was a good guy. And yes, that's what everyone said, that he was a good guy, that he was a good person. And I was like, okay. And throughout this whole process, we started to get organized to get married. And honestly, it was the dream of my life. Who doesn't want that, right? He was the man I loved. We were going to have our own house and things. And that's how it was. He proposed to me when I was 17 years old. I was so happy. We started to organize everything, during our engagement. Things like the house we were going to live in, choosing our godparents, choosing the color of the dress, looking for catering, decoration, a party venue. And it was a year and a half organizing this wedding. Preparing everything for this big change. For me, it's a huge step in maturity because this has always been my dream. Leaving my mother's house and going to a comfortable place with my husband as a bride, right? That was all I ever wanted. We invited all the godparents. We sent out all the invitations. We arranged a lot of cool things, little souvenirs. Everything was very special during this process. And believe it or not, my fiance was there with me, available, willing, taking part in all of it. When there were 5 months left until we could actually get married, when there were 5 months left, he just came to me and he said he wasn't ready for marriage and he didn't want to get married anymore. He didn't want it anymore. And how do you prepare everything? Let the person prepare everything. You invite everyone. You pay for a lot of things. You organize a lot of things. Like it or not, it's time. It's a lot of time that we spend on every detail of the event. That pulled the rug out from under me. For sure, it's like I fell into a hole. That really destroyed me. The fact that I had to uninvite people, cancel the whole party, because it's one of two things. Either we canceled it or we postponed the wedding for another year. But at that point, I was already 18 years old and he was 28 years old. We had 4 years of planning, of waiting, of being in a relationship. And then at 28 years old, he says he's not ready to get married. For me, 28 is the perfect age to be in a relationship. Maybe I was young. It was a huge shock to have to cancel everything, right? I wasn't emotionally prepared for this. Quite the opposite. I was 100% ready for what was coming. I had been preparing myself for this for years. I had already adapted to this idea. I had already shaped myself to this idea, and it was very embarrassing for me. At that moment, my mom, she was really furious with him because what she spent to be able to provide a wedding party wasn't refunded. Many things were already ready. There were many things they couldn't get 100% of the money back for. Others only refunded a percentage, so it was very embarrassing. Besides, we had already received gifts from almost all the godparents. Our house was practically all furnished thanks to the wedding gifts. How do we undo a project like this? How do we return all of that? How do we feel knowing that someone spent their money, invested their money to bless our relationship? And it's a failed relationship, but it affected me so much. It hurt me so much that I gained 20 kilos, that I developed a really severe anxiety disorder. I had really intense crying fits. I got so sick. I felt so bad. I was so shaken by all these changes. Everything happened so fast that one day I took 60 pills and ended up in the hospital. It was a suicide attempt. Yes, I wanted to take my own life. I was so emotionally fragile. I was so devastated. I was just a young woman, And I didn't have the maturity to deal with the situation. It was really hard for me. And by the way, I still stayed with him for a year. A year after he called off the wedding, we were still together. And it was an extremely abusive relationship, extremely toxic, because he would look me in the face, call me stupid, and say I would never succeed in life. He would say that I wasn't even good enough to finish my course, that I was studying nursing, But at that moment, I was really going through an emotional turmoil. I didn't have the emotional resilience, especially because he brought that on to me, and it was extremely exhausting. It was a relationship filled with a lot of humiliation where he would belittle me. Everything he could do to belittle me, to humiliate me, to bring me down, he did. And I had to get psychological treatment. I had to start taking medication, I had to try to take care of myself, and I was still in this relationship that was making me sick. So I would go there, I would get treatment, I tried to take care of myself, but I didn't understand that I wouldn't be able to get out of this as long as what was hurting me was still with me, Because he was still in my life during that year. And I felt totally shaken, falling apart. I was different. I didn't recognize myself when I looked in the mirror. I felt really down, really depressed. It was very complicated for me. Until after that year, after the wedding was called off, I decided to end it once and for all, For the first time I said, enough, I can't take it anymore. I don't want this anymore. I need him out of my life. At that moment, I started to look at myself again. I started to see I was still young. I still had a whole life ahead of me. I still had so many things to achieve, to experience, not the way I was living. And that was the starting point for me to start putting my life in order, getting my life together. I continued my college studies, finished my nursing course, went back to church, which was a place that made me feel really good. There, I found myself again. I reconnected with my spiritual side. And I started to see another version of myself I could be, And after some time, I ended up becoming a leader, right? And working with young people in the church, I started doing really beautiful work, truly helping restore souls. Because today I look at myself and I see how when we're young, it's easy for us to be manipulated and how we end up giving all our emotions to a relationship and losing ourselves as women. Today, I do really nice and beautiful work helping people to rediscover their soul, and to see themselves in the best way they can be. I thank God that he gave me a second chance, because yes, I did take several pills to end my life. And today I see how a toxic relationship can end and destroy a person. How it could have ended my life right there while I still had so many things and dreams to accomplish. So be careful, girls. Be careful when you get approached by an older man who may often seem committed, but when it comes time to really show commitment, he runs away from you, leaves you completely unbalanced, and ends up taking away from you what is most special, your self-love and your shine. Hi, girls. How are you all doing? Today, I want to highlight 2 points about this. The first point is this. It's important for you to know that even if you're a teenager, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, or even your whole life. But even younger, you have an intuition, a wise old woman inside you who talks to you. When you let go of your own hand to hold someone else's, when you let go of yourself to give both hands to a relationship, of course you get lost. We have 2 hands for exactly that. With one, you hold on to yourself. The other you give to your life partner. A husband is the only family member you have the freedom to choose. Do you understand? Because relatives, father, uncle, grandmother, grandfather, brother, nephew, you don't have the power to choose. You are born into this system, into this family tree, but your life partner is not. Your life partner is the one you look at and know you want to start a new branch of your family tree with and have by your side forever. So it's very important that you don't lose yourself, that you hold on, you know. You don't need to be angry at men or never hold a man's hand again. On the contrary, we have two legs, we have two ears, we have two hands. So it's very important that you never abandon yourself, that you always put yourself first. The second point is the age difference. But I'm 13 years old, 15 years old. Look, when you're already an adult, when you're over 18 or 20, if you get involved with someone older, you're a mature person with another mature person. The problem is when a 14-year-old child who's just starting to enter young adult life and still has a lot to experience ends up believing in false promises. Because yes, guys, it's easy to manipulate. Believe me, we adult women with fully developed brains, mothers who are ready for life, we run the risk of being manipulated by someone. Imagine a young girl who doesn't have experience, how harmful that can be. So I brought this story because this girl almost took her own life. This guy made tons of promises, made the mother spend money. So the mother was another person who could have stopped all of this, right? She could have said, no, she's not getting married now. Wait until she's mature. When you're emotionally mature and older, you can make your own choices. But today, I want to protect you. A relationship with someone close to your age who has the same goals as you, who is on the same page. And even then, it still might not work out. So you can never be too careful. Getting involved with someone much older, especially when you're underage, believe me, the chances of you ending up hurt, traumatized, overwhelmed, really poisoned are huge, so be careful. If you've also had a wedding canceled, if you also prepared everything and at the last minute it didn't happen, or your husband, right, didn't show up, or something happened that made it not happen, send me your story on stories, guys, or to diadapaula@gmail.com. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Kisses. And see you in the next video.